I used to think I understood what losing everything meant, until the night I sat alone in my darkened office, staring at the final dissolution papers of my company, my signature trembling at the bottom. Blake and Bloom Designs, my dream, my pride, my lifeline, was officially dead. And the man who promised to love me, my husband Ethan, had emptied our accounts and vanished with another woman before the ink was even dry. With nowhere else to go, I drove to my parents' mansion, praying they'd help me and my little girl, Lily. Instead, my father looked me in the eyes and said, "You're a disgrace," before slamming the door in my face. That night, I wrapped Lily in blankets and held her inside our cold truck, trying not to break. I thought life had already taken everything from me. But I was wrong. Life was just getting started. If I close my eyes, I can still see the life I thought would last forever. Back then, I woke up every morning truly believing that I was finally standing on steady ground. I was Olivia Blake, a woman rebuilding herself after years of self-doubt, fear, and compromise. And for a brief, shining moment, I actually thought I'd made it. My studio, Blake and Bloom Designs, sat on the corner of Maplewood Street, a renovated brick loft that still smelled faintly of cedar from the shelves I built myself. Sunlight streamed in through the oversized windows, spilling across fabric swatches and color boards like gold dust. Clients walked in with tired eyes and walked out smiling, clutching sketches of the home they always dreamed of. This wasn't just a job to me. It was my proof that I wasn't a failure. "Mommy, this one is my favorite," Lily would squeal, waving a drawing of a pink house with crooked windows and huge sunflowers. She'd sit cross-legged on the rug with her crayons while I measured layouts or took calls, humming little songs that somehow made the chaos of work feel like magic. I'd kiss the top of her head and whisper, "One day, this will all be ours, sweetheart. A life we build together." For a while, I believed it. Even Ethan, my husband, seemed supportive, at least in the beginning. He'd stop by the studio with iced coffee and say, "Liv, you're killing it. Maybe you'll be the millionaire in this marriage." He'd say it with a laugh, like he meant it, like he was proud of me. But looking back now, I can see the cracks, tiny ones at first, barely noticeable unless you squinted. The way he'd flinch when I talked about long-term plans. The way he'd say, "Don't work too hard," in a tone that wasn't concern, it was discomfort. The way his phone always seemed to flip face down when I walked into the room, but I ignored all of it. Because when you want to believe your life is stable, you don't look too closely at the weak beams. You just pray nothing heavy falls on them. And for a while, nothing did. Business picked up. Clients booked me 3 months out. I even hired a part-time assistant, Melissa, whose entire personality revolved around her overly enthusiastic love of coffee and her habit of labeling everything, even the label maker. We laughed a lot in that little studio. We dreamed a lot. I dreamed of expanding to a second location. I dreamed of finally paying off debt. I dreamed of saving enough to give Lily a backyard where she could run barefoot without worrying about broken glass or apartment complex traffic. At night, after putting Lily to bed, I'd sit beside Ethan on the couch. He'd scroll through his phone, and I'd scroll through design boards, whispering, "I think things are finally turning around." He'd nod, almost distractedly, and say, "Yeah, looks like it." I didn't know those were the last peaceful nights I'd have for a very long time. I didn't know that success, for some people, doesn't inspire love, it awakens resentment. And I definitely didn't know that the foundation of my life, my marriage, my business, my family, was already splintering beneath me, quietly, silently, just waiting for the moment everything would collapse. The day everything collapsed didn't arrive with thunder or warning. It arrived quietly, like a thief who already knew the house better than I did. It started at 9:14 a.m. I remember the exact time because I always checked the clock before starting my morning consultations. Lily was sitting at the studio table drawing butterflies while Melissa sorted invoices. Then my phone rang. Unknown caller. Normally, I'd ignore it during work hours, but something in my gut twisted. "Hello, this is Olivia." "Miss Blake?" a hesitant male voice replied. "This is Andrew from First Tennessee Bank. I'm calling regarding your business account." A chill crept up my spine. "Yes? Is something wrong?" There was a long pause, the kind that tells you the answer is yes, and it's going to hurt. "Your account has been fully withdrawn. All funds. The total balance is now 0. My pen slipped from my hand. That's impossible. There should be over $200,000 in that account." I'm looking at the records right now, he said gently, like he already knew he was delivering a death sentence. The withdrawals were made by the authorized secondary account holder, a Mr. Ethan Blake. For a moment, I forgot how to breathe. My husband? I whispered. Yes, ma'am. The room spun. Melissa's voice faded. Even Lily's humming turned distant. I managed to choke out. There must be a mistake. Ethan would never, he's not even involved in the business, I'm sorry, the banker said quietly. But your husband withdrew everything over the last 3 days. I ended the call without replying. My hand trembled so violently I nearly dropped the phone. I dialed Ethan. Once. Twice. 3 times. Voicemail. I tried again. On the 6th attempt, he finally picked up. His voice was calm. Too calm. Hey, Liv. You took the money, I said, barely breathing. Tell me you didn't. Tell me you didn't empty our entire business account. He sighed. Look, before you freak out. Ethan, that money wasn't just ours. It wasn't just business funds. It was payroll, rent, client deposits. My voice cracked. It was our daughter's future. Well, he said, I guess you should have thought about that before putting everything in your name. What are you talking about? A woman's voice giggled in the background. My blood froze. Ethan, where are you? Who is that? He exhaled in that annoyed, condescending way he used when he didn't want to deal with something. I'm done, Liv. I'm done with all of it, your business, the stress, the constant work. I found something better for myself. Better? My voice broke. Better than your wife? Your daughter? You'll be fine, he said. You always land on your feet. Then, with the coldness of someone who never loved me at all, he added, and honestly, you were holding me back. Click. Just like that, he was gone. I stared at my reflection in the studio window, eyes wide, skin pale, chest tight. For the first time in my life, I didn't recognize the woman looking back. Melissa placed a cautious hand on my shoulder. Olivia, what do you want me to do? I swallowed hard, fighting the rising nausea. Lock the office, I whispered. Cancel my appointments. But why? What's going on? Everything inside me crumbled. I think my entire life just blew up. And by the end of that week, the clients pulled out, the bills escalated, and I signed the bankruptcy papers that would erase everything I'd worked for. But nothing hurt as much as the moment I had to kneel in front of my daughter, look her in the eyes, and say, Baby, things are going to be different now. The day after the bankruptcy became official, I sat in my truck staring at the faded dashboard, trying to convince myself this wasn't real. The engine rattled like it was seconds from giving up, much like me. Lily sat in the back humming softly, hugging her stuffed rabbit. Mommy, can we go to Grandma and Grandpa's house? They have a big yard. I want to play on the bridge. Her little voice trembled with hope, and I exhausted, terrified, desperate, let myself believe for a moment that maybe my parents would help. They were wealthy, powerful, respected. They lived in a mansion with 12 bedrooms and a fountain in the driveway. They could spare a sofa for a few nights. They could spare love. They could spare something. Yeah, baby, I whispered. We're going. As I drove toward Knoxville, my stomach twisted tighter with every mile. Memories flashed. Dad lecturing me about responsibility. Mom criticizing me for thinking too small. Both of them insisting I marry someone like Ethan because he came from a good family. I had disappointed them my entire life. But surely even they had limits. When the mansion finally appeared, glistening behind black iron gates, Lily gasped. It looks like a castle. To her, maybe it did. To me, it looked like a test I was about to fail. The butler, Mr. Alden, opened the door with a stiff expression. Miss Olivia, I wasn't informed of your visit. I need to speak to my parents, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. It's urgent. He hesitated. They're occupied. It won't take long. He finally stepped aside, and Lily rushed in, her little sneakers squeaking on the marble floors. The scent of polished wood and expensive perfume filled my lungs, suffocating me with familiarity. This was the house I grew up in, but it never felt like home. My father, Gregory Blake, appeared at the top of the staircase, dressed in one of his tailored charcoal suits, even though it wasn't a workday. His eyes, cold, sharp, calculating, landed on me with immediate irritation. Olivia? What are you doing here? His tone sliced through me. I need help, I said quietly. Just for a short time. Just until I get back on my feet. Lily and I. My mother, Vivian, descended the stairs, her expression already twisted in disapproval. Good Lord, Olivia, you look like a mess. My throat tightened. I lost the business, and Ethan, he took everything. We don't have anywhere to go. My father exhaled sharply, like I'd inconvenienced him by ruining my life. So you've come crawling back, he said. Dad, please, I'm not asking forever. Just a few days, maybe a week. Lily peeked out from behind my leg and waved shyly. Hi, Grandpa. My father didn't even smile. Olivia, he said slowly. We warned you. We told you Ethan was unreliable. We told you to stay out of that ridiculous design venture. You chose not to listen. I know, I whispered. But I'm asking now. And we're refusing now. The words hit like a slap. What, why? My voice cracked, humiliatingly fragile. We're family. Family? My mother repeated with a sharp laugh. You mean the daughter who embarrassed us with her failed marriage and failed business? Vivian, my father snapped, then turned back to me. We cannot be associated with this level of incompetence. It affects our reputation. The Blakes do not take in failures. I stared at him, stunned. Dad, we're homeless. He reached into his wallet, pulled out a $50 bill, and shoved it into my hand like I was a beggar on the street. That should help you with gas. Now leave. I stood frozen, heart rattling inside my chest. Lily tugged my shirt. Mommy, why is Grandpa mad? I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. The silence stretched thick, suffocating, final. Then my father turned away and walked up the stairs without looking back. The butler opened the door behind me. Cold wind rushed in, and as the door slammed shut in my face, something inside me broke silently, completely, irrevocably. I took Lily's hand and walked back to the truck, each step heavier than the last. I had lost my business, my marriage, my safety, my family. And now, staring at the steering wheel through blurry eyes, I realized we had nowhere left to go. The first night Lily and I slept in the truck, I kept telling myself it was temporary, just a bump, a pause, a terrible mistake that would be fixed in the morning. But morning came, and nothing changed. The motel wanted payment we didn't have. Shelters were full. My phone battery hovered at 8%. My bank account held $6.41. So, the truck became our home. It was a fading blue Ford with peeling paint and a heater that only worked if you kicked the dashboard twice and prayed. I spread Lily's blanket across the back seat and handed her the one remaining stuffed rabbit she hadn't lost during our chaotic move. Mommy, she whispered. Is this camping again? Her eyes were so hopeful that my heart twisted. Yes, baby, I lied softly. It's a special kind of camping. But camping wasn't supposed to feel like shame. Camping wasn't supposed to smell like cold metal and fear. Over the next few days, I followed a routine I had never imagined I'd learn. Wake up stiff from sleeping upright. Brush teeth using bottled water in a gas station parking lot. Wash Lily's face with baby wipes. Eat granola bars for breakfast. Apply for jobs using free Wi-Fi behind a cafe. Hope no one noticed we hadn't been home in weeks. By day 3, something dark began to settle inside me. A sense that the world was shrinking, pressing me into a corner I couldn't escape. By day 5, that sense turned into panic. Not for me, but for Lily. She was quiet. Too quiet. She slept more, ate less, and her normally bright cheeks turned pale. One night, as rain hammered the roof like 1,000 fists, Lily whimpered in her sleep. Her forehead burned under my hand hot enough that I jerked back in fear. Mommy, my tummy hurts, she whispered. Oh God, my voice trembled. Baby, look at me. Her eyes were glassy, unfocused. My breaths came fast, shallow, like my body couldn't take in enough air. I needed a hospital. But hospitals meant money. Money meant we needed insurance. Insurance meant we needed a home address. We had none of those things. I pressed my forehead against hers, whispering, Stay with me, Lily, please. Her tiny fingers curled weakly around mine. I spent that night awake, wiping her with the last cool water we had, listening to her small breaths rasping in the dark. Cars whooshed by on the wet road outside, taillights smearing into red streaks through fogged windows. I felt the full weight of my failure collapse onto my chest until I could barely breathe. I thought of my parents in their warm mansion. I thought of Ethan laughing somewhere with his new woman. I thought of the business I had poured my soul into gone. I thought of Lily lying there, burning up, because her mother wasn't strong enough to protect her. At some point, I broke. I pressed my face into my hands and sobbed quiet, shaking. Desperate sobs I tried to silence so Lily wouldn't hear, but she did. Half asleep, she murmured. "Don't cry, Mommy. I'm okay." Her voice was so small, so fragile, and so brave. I held her against me, rocking gently, wishing I could give her warmth I didn't have. Hours passed. The rain softened. The sky began to lighten, but the fever didn't break. And just as I felt my strength slipping completely away as I whispered a prayer into the cold morning air, begging for anything, anyone, any sign that the world hadn't abandoned us, someone knocked on my window. A sharp, deliberate knock. Not the police. Not a stranger asking us to move. A voice spoke through the glass. "Are you Olivia Blake?" And in that moment, I didn't know it yet, but everything was about to change. The knock on the window startled me so violently that my heart nearly stopped. For a second, I thought I was dreaming. The world outside was still washed in that pale, blue-gray color that comes just before sunrise, and rainwater dripped down the glass like melting silver. I wiped my eyes with the back of my sleeve and slowly lowered the window, praying it wasn't the police telling us to move again. Instead, a woman stood there beneath a dripping umbrella. Tall, composed, wrapped in a dark coat that looked far too elegant for this abandoned parking lot. Her eyes met mine steady, assessing, almost concerned. "Are you Olivia Blake?" she asked. My voice cracked. Who are you?" She didn't answer immediately. Instead, her eyes flicked to the back seat where Lily slept, cheeks flushed, hair damp with fever. "You need help," she said quietly. It wasn't a question. I swallowed hard, shielding Lily instinctively. "I can't pay for anything. If you're with social services, please just give me one more day. I'm figuring things out, I swear." She raised a hand, calm and controlled. "I'm not from social services. My name is Clara Hudson. I'm the personal house manager for Mr. Declan Ward." The name hit me like a distant echo, familiar, but blurred by time. I don't know anyone named Declan Ward." Her expression softened just slightly. "He knows you." "What?" Clara took a small step closer, her umbrella tilting so the rain no longer hit my open window. "Mr. Ward is dying. Terminal lung cancer. He has requested repeatedly that we find you before his time runs out." A cold shiver crawled down my spine. "Why me? I've never even met him." "You have," Clara said gently. 12 years ago. And that's when it hit me. The highway. The flames. The overturned car. The man I pulled out before the fire spread. The ambulance sirens. My trembling hands covered in blood and soot. The memory flashed so vividly that I felt the heat again. "That was him?" I whispered. Clara nodded. "Mr. Ward never forgot your face. You saved his life and disappeared before anyone could thank you. He's been looking for you ever since." The world tilted. "But why now?" "Because," she said, her voice lowering, "he has very little time left, and he insists there are things he must tell you before he dies." I looked back at Lily, breathing shallowly, her face still flushed with fever. "I need to get my daughter to a hospital," I whispered. Clara nodded like she expected that. "We have a private medical team at the estate. If you come with me now, she'll be treated immediately. No questions, no cost." My breath hitched. Why would he do that for me? Clara hesitated, then said something that made the air inside the truck freeze. "Because he believes he owes you a debt no amount of money can repay." I stared at her, torn between fear and hope, between mistrust and desperation. But Lily whimpered softly behind me, so faint it barely reached my ears. That was all it took. I unlocked the door. "Okay," I said, voice trembling. "We'll go with you." Clara helped me carry Lily to her sleek black SUV. Inside, the leather seats were warm, the air clean, the world suddenly unfamiliar. I wrapped my arms around Lily as the car pulled away, headlights cutting through the fog. Where is he?" I asked. Clara's eyes met mine through the rearview mirror. "In the Ward estate," she said. "About 40 minutes from here, deep in the hills." "What does he want with me?" She exhaled, something heavy hidden behind her calm exterior. "I think he wants closure, and to give you something important before he goes." I held Lily tighter. Outside, the city receded. The forest thickened. The sky darkened again as rain returned. I didn't know it then, but everything that happened after that moment, every truth, every battle, every miracle, started with that knock on my window, and with a dying billionaire whispering my name. The Ward estate appeared out of the fog, like something pulled from a forgotten fairy tale, vast, stone-built, quiet, almost sacred. The iron gates opened automatically as Clara's SUV approached, revealing manicured gardens drenched in rain and lit by warm golden path lights. But as beautiful as it was, my eyes stayed glued to Lily's pale face in my lap. "Hang on, baby," I whispered, brushing damp hair from her forehead. "We're almost there." When the car stopped under a large covered archway, a medical team rushed out before Clara even opened her door. Two nurses gently lifted Lily into their arms and hurried her inside. "Is she going to be okay?" I asked, panic clawing at my throat. "They'll do everything possible," Clara said. "Declan insisted we be ready the moment we found you." That sentence alone made my knees weak. Inside, the air smelled of pine wood and old books. The estate was warm, elegant, filled with oil paintings and tall windows that overlooked the storm outside. But my heart wasn't ready to absorb any of it. "Where is he?" I whispered. Clara placed a hand on my back and guided me down a long hallway. "At the end of this wing. He sleeps most of the time now, but he's been waiting for you." Waiting for me. A dying billionaire waiting for me. My hands shook as she stopped at a large wooden door. "Olivia?" Clara said softly. "Prepare yourself. He's weak, but he's lucid. And this moment matters to him more than you know." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "Okay, I'm ready." I wasn't. Not even close. Clara opened the door, and I walked into the dim room. There he was. Declan Ward. The man whose face had once been covered in blood and smoke as I dragged him from a burning car 12 years ago. Now he lay in a hospital bed, an oxygen tube across his face, his chest rising and falling with shaky breaths. Machines beeped steadily, the only sound in the otherwise still room. His eyes fluttered open when he sensed movement. For a moment, he stared at me, confused, then something lit in his expression. "You," he whispered. I stepped closer, hands trembling. "Mr. Ward?" A faint smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. "I always knew, if I saw you again, it would be on a day like this." I blinked fast, trying not to cry. "You remember me? How could I forget the woman who saved my life?" His voice was raspy, thin. "You carried me out of the fire when everyone else drove past. You risked your life, for a stranger." "I didn't even know who you were," I whispered. "That's why it meant everything." His bony hand reached out, shaking. I took it gently, afraid he might break. "I've searched for you for years," he said. "When cancer took hold, I intensified the search. I didn't want to leave this world without looking into your eyes and saying, 'Thank you.'" A tear slipped down my cheek. "You don't owe me anything. Anyone would have helped." "No," he rasped. "Not anyone. I've lived long enough to know the world doesn't work that way." He squeezed my hand weakly. "You are different, Olivia." I swallowed hard. "My daughter Lily, is she?" His eyes softened. "She's with my medical team. They'll take good care of her. I made sure of that." Another tear fell. "Why?" I whispered. "Why do all this for me?" He took in a rattling breath. "Because I have little time left. And because there are things you deserve to know before I'm gone. Just to be inside as ten midi of wire fine the mervager." My pulse quickened. "What things?" Clara stepped closer, handing him a leather folder. He nodded for her to give it to me. "This," he whispered, "is my final will. Signed 2 weeks ago. Every asset, my company, my estate, my holdings will go to you." My heart stopped. "What? No. Mr. Ward, I don't understand. You have a son, and he does not deserve what I built," Declan said firmly, his voice momentarily regaining strength. "But you saved me without wanting anything. That is the kind of person who should inherit something meaningful." I shook my head, breathless. "I can't take your everything. You're the only person I trust with it." Silence filled the room as my world tilted beneath my feet. He closed his eyes, exhausted. "Tomorrow, Clara will explain the rest. For now, stay by your daughter. She needs you." I whispered. "Thank you, Declan." His lips curved faintly. "No, Olivia. Thank you. As I stepped out of the room, I didn't know that this was the last time I'd hear his voice. But I did know one thing. My life, shattered hours ago, was about to be rebuilt in ways I could never fathom. I barely slept that night. Between the soft beeping of machines monitoring Lily's fever and the echo of Declan's trembling voice telling me he'd left everything to me, my mind spun like a loose wheel. I watched Lily breathe, finally stable, finally safe, and whispered a silent prayer of thanks to the man who made it possible. But at sunrise, the peace shattered. A thunderous crash echoed through the estate's front hall, something heavy slamming against a wall. A voice deep, enraged, dripping with venom roared through the corridors. "Where is she?" I froze. Clara burst into the medical room, her usually composed face pale. "Olivia, stay behind me." "What's happening?" I whispered. Before she could answer, a tall man stormed into view, dark hair slicked back, sharp jaw clenched, eyes blazing like a man seconds away from violence. Jordan Ward, Declan's son. He was everything his father wasn't: cold, entitled, simmering with arrogance, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my rent for an entire year. "You?" he snarled, the moment his eyes landed on me. "You're the parasite my father brought into this house?" Clara stepped between us. "Jordan, this is not the time." "Shut up." He shoved her aside so hard she stumbled. Instinctively, I positioned myself in front of Lily's bed. "Don't touch her," I hissed. Jordan scoffed. "Relax. I'm not here for your kid. I'm here for you." He marched toward me, waving a crumpled document. This right here, this is a joke." He thrust the paper into my chest. "My father's new will. Leaving everything to some nobody who drags her daughter around in a rusted truck." I didn't pick it up. I couldn't move. "You think I don't know what you're doing?" he went on. "You found out my father was dying, and you swooped in to manipulate him. Classic gold digger move." My mouth opened, but no sound came out. Jordan leaned close, his voice dropping to a hiss. "You played him, but you won't play me." Clara finally regained her footing. "Jordan, your father made that will weeks ago. It was his choice." He spun on her. "And why should anyone believe you? You've always been loyal to him, too loyal. Honestly, I'm starting to think you're in on this." Clara flinched but didn't reply. I finally forced out the words. "I didn't manipulate him. I saved him 12 years ago. I didn't know he was a billionaire. I didn't even know he remembered me." Jordan let out a bitter laugh. "Oh, how convenient. A touching little hero story." Then he sneered. "Tell it to the judge." "The judge?" I repeated. He jabbed a finger at me. "You think I'm letting you walk away with my father's company? His estate? His legacy? No. I'm filing a lawsuit. Fraud, coercion, mental incompetence. Pick one, I'll use all three." My stomach dropped. Clara stepped forward again. "Jordan, your father was fully aware when he signed that will. Jordan cut her off by ripping a vase from a nearby table and hurling it across the hallway. It shattered into glittering pieces. "Don't tell me what my father thought," he roared. His breath was heavy, erratic. His rage filled the mansion like smoke. Finally, he pointed at me again, this time with a cold, calculating calm. "You have no idea who you're dealing with. I have lawyers who eat people like you for breakfast. You're nothing, Olivia. Nothing but a passing charity case," he latched onto at the end. He stepped closer, his face inches from mine. "And I swear, I will make sure you lose everything he tried to give you." Just then, another voice cut through the tension. "Jordan, stop." We turned. A nurse stood at the end of the hall, tears brimming in her eyes. "He's gone," she whispered. The words struck like a thunderbolt. Clara pressed a hand over her mouth. I felt my knees weaken. Even Jordan, whose rage had consumed the entire room, froze mid-breath. "What did you say?" he demanded. "Mr. Ward passed away a few minutes ago." Silence. For the first time, Jordan's expression faltered not into sorrow, but into shock and disbelief. "My father is dead?" he muttered. The nurse nodded. Jordan's jaw twitched. His eyes shuddered. Then, quietly, dangerously, he said, "Then prepare yourself, Olivia. Because now, I will burn the world to take back everything he left you." He turned on his heel and stormed down the hall. Clara stepped beside me, her voice shaking. "He won't stop, Olivia. He's worse than Declan ever feared." I swallowed, my hands trembling. "What do we do?" Her eyes darkened. "We open the letter Declan left you." The one he said would explain everything. My heart pounded, because deep down I already knew. Whatever was inside that letter was going to change everything again. Clara led me into Declan's study, a quiet room with mahogany shelves, oil paintings, and a faint scent of old leather and dust. Rain tapped against the tall windows like impatient fingers. The entire estate felt heavier, as if it too had learned that Declan Ward, the man who saved my daughter, the man I once saved, was gone. Clara handed me a sealed envelope. "This," she whispered, "is what Mr. Ward wanted you to have when Jordan came after you." My fingers trembled as I broke the seal. Inside was a handwritten letter and a second envelope stuffed with documents. I unfolded the letter first. "Olivia, if you are reading this, it means my time has ended. And Jordan has begun the war I feared he would. You deserve the truth, all of it." My breath caught. 12 years ago, the accident that nearly killed me was no accident. My brakes weren't defective. They were cut. A cold wave washed over me. I continued reading. Jordan was the one who ordered it. He wanted to force a board takeover and gain control of Ward Tech. When I survived, he panicked and staged it as a mechanical failure. I covered my mouth. No, that can't be true," I whispered. Clara placed a hand on my shoulder. "Declan never lied. Not about this." I kept reading. "When you saved me, you ruined his plan. You gave me time to uncover the truth. I gathered evidence but never released it. Because despite everything, he was still my son. But I knew one day he would hurt someone else. And now, he's come for you." A tear slipped down my cheek. "Olivia, you are the only person I trust with my legacy. You are the only person he fears. Use the evidence. Protect yourself. Protect Lily. And protect what I've left you." His last line made my chest twist. "Where the world failed me, you did not." Declan Ward. My hands shook as I opened the second envelope. Inside were financial transfers linked to Jordan, emails coordinating with a mechanic to ensure brake malfunction, a confession letter from a former employee, security footage stills, Jordan's forged documents, a signed affidavit from Declan himself. My lungs tightened. "This is enough to bury him," Clara whispered. I closed the folder, wiping tears. "No," I said. "It's enough to stop him." The courtroom. The lawsuit came fast. Jordan filed it before Declan's body was even prepared for burial. The media devoured the story. Mystery woman inherits billionaire's empire. Son accuses stranger of manipulation. Ward estate war begins. I entered the courtroom holding Lily's hand. She clutched her stuffed rabbit, terrified but brave. Jordan sat across from me in a designer suit, smirking like he'd already won. His attorney stood. "Your Honor, my client's father was mentally incompetent and heavily medicated when he signed the will. Miss Blake exploited his state for financial gain." My lawyer, appointed by Declan himself, rose calmly. "We have evidence that says otherwise." Jordan scoffed loudly. "Oh? What evidence could some broke single mother possibly have?" I stood, heart pounding, and placed the leather folder on the judge's desk. Jordan froze. His face went white. "Your Honor," my lawyer said, "this folder contains evidence Mr. Ward collected for over a decade, proving Jordan Ward attempted to murder his father to seize control of Ward Tech." Silence. You could hear people breathing. Jordan shot to his feet. "That's a lie. She forged it. This woman." The judge slammed his gavel. "Sit down, Mr. Ward." Jordan's lawyer flipped through the documents, his hands shaking. Confusion, horror, defeat. One by one, he placed the pages down. "Your Honor, these signatures, these financial trails, they're real." Jordan lunged toward me, eyes wild. "You ruined everything. You—" Security restrained him. "Let go of me. That money was mine. That company was mine. She deserves nothing." The judge struck the gavel again. "Enough." Then, after reviewing the evidence for 20 agonizing minutes, he delivered the final blow. The court upholds the will of Declan Ward. The estate, including Ward Tech, legally belongs to Olivia Blake. Mr. Jordan Ward will face criminal investigation for attempted murder. The courtroom erupted. Jordan screamed. Lily clung to me, trembling. And I finally breathed for the first time in months. After the verdict, outside the courthouse, flashes from cameras blurred into white sparks. "Miss Blake, are you staying on as CEO? Will you press additional charges?" What are your plans for the Ward legacy? I held Lily close, shielding her. My only plan, I said softly, is to honor the man who trusted me, and to build a life where my daughter never fears the cold again. As we drove back to the Ward estate, now our home, I looked up at the sky. For the first time since everything began, I didn't feel abandoned. I felt chosen. I felt protected. And somewhere, I hoped Declan Ward was finally at peace.